What is going on, you guys? It's your boy, the multitasking moron here, and we're back with episode 66 of the video game therapy series. I'm going to start off today's video. Certainly a better way to use to describe this, but with a rather ridiculous topic. And I'm going to provide a bit of preface so you don't take it at face value, because it is quite a ridiculous, I'm not even gonna say controversial, because it's not like this is a real opinion, in the sense that it's more of a meme than it is really any kind of opinion. And my haiku I wrote for this in my little comments thread is bring back gay. And I'm not talking about the being homosexual. So maybe it's just that I'm like a zoomer and I grew up in this Modern Warfare 3 2012 era of where you could just call things like, oh, that's super gay, and that everyone kind of knew what you were talking about. And this wasn't like before homosexual people. Obviously they already existed, and probably weren't treated that great, especially with the fact that was such a modular word to use. But I'm not advocating to bring the usage of the word gay back. I'm simply memorializing a pretty useful word. It was very modular, almost kind of like fuck is today. Like fuck still has that modularity that gay once had. Gay once had it as a descriptor, though. It was adjective title in nature, if that's the word. If I'm pronouncing the word correctly. I've read it, but I haven't said it. And it you could really describe anything as gay, and someone kind of knew like what you were talking about, right? If it was like a uninformed opinion, you could describe it as gay. If it was like not funny, you could describe it as gay. Even if it was like something offensive, right? You could sort of describe it as gay, and people would really understand it. And I guess it wasn't, I'm going to say until gay people took off, but there obviously has been a lot more emphasis on people of different sexual orientations. So the word has kind of been taken back, so to say, by people that are legitimately gay. Because now I think about, if I say something's gay, I just imagine two men kissing, which is not the vision I want in my head when I'm trying to describe anything. I'm nothing against gay people. I'm just not gay. So that's something I'm saying that as a meme. I'm not homosexual, as that's not my orientation. So I don't know. I'm more so memingly memorializing the usage of what used to be probably one of the most dynamic words of the Zoomer vocabulary, which is its own kind of beast. Zoomers have their own very unique way of describing things, and I suppose one effort of this series is to ensure that I still have some level of Zoomer to Boomer translation when I'm trying to talk to somebody about, I guess when I'm putting on my corporate hat. Which I don't do very often, but I have to do at some points. But anyway, I just had bring back gay as my first rather ridiculous topic, but I'm obviously not advocating for it. I just kind of, thinking about a time a simpler time, when you come home and play Call of Duty and the Wii or whatever. I used to play the Wii a lot. The Wii was fucking awesome. Now it's child's play compared to the gaming rigs that kids have. So it's no one remembers the time of the Wii. And the Game Boy Advance too is also a S tier console. So anyway, I suppose that word would have been great. I'm not even gonna refer to it as that word. I'm just gonna say gay. But because I've prefaced this video with this conversation, I want you to know I don't mean it in the sense that I'm being derogatory towards homosexual people. It is rather in the 2012 gay way, where it's kind of this catch-all term for describing something, bro, that's gay. Not as in bro, that's homosexual. I guess, I suppose I wish that word still had that connotation, because there's not really a better way to describe these next two groups of people, and I'll talk about them individually, but, I will branch off their own discussions. But these are morely, not saying people I want to publicly shame, but maybe a little bit, actually. First are mobile gamers. If you play any game of any kind on a mobile device, you're a loser. And, you know, if this was 2012, I would say you're gay. But of course I can't say that because now it's like, I'm not calling them homosexual. You know, I'm kind of calling them, you know, a loser. And I'm not saying that their entire personhood is that of a loser. Now that anyone who's ever played a mobile game before is a complete. I used to play a mobile game, but it is a bum activity. You know, I used to play Clash of Clans like most people my age used to or had at one point. Even like in college, there was. I mean, I remember there was like frats that would all have their Clash of Clans thing, which is like kind of crazy to think of. These people are in their, you know, their 20s and are playing mobile games. But mobile, like, it's not even the essence of like mobile game being bad, because I'm sure that with how powerful phones are getting and with, you know, how much effort's being put into designing games for mobile, there's probably the you know, I'm sure the graphics are good, and there's, you know, 120 hertz display on your little 4-inch screen or whatever, and even the screens are getting larger, like there's iPads and stuff. So on one hand, the mobile gaming experience is still cannot hold a candle to a legitimate desktop experience. But that's not even the real problem with it. Even if it was like a good experience, which sure, I guess in some cases, if you have noise canceling headphones or whatever that it is. But it's more or less where are you doing this mobile gaming, right? Like on the, you know, on the subway, on, you know, alone in your room on your phone. I can't imagine a setting or a larger context where I would feel it is a proper, and I'm not going to say healthy because gaming and all isn't technically healthy, but even in a loose sense, a healthy thing to do, right? You either have the option, if you're alone at home, go on a computer because you can kind of, it's a more singular focus. There's not push notifications on a lot of people's computers yet. I mean, hopefully. If your computer has push notifications, my God, turn those off. But even so, it's more of a focused experience. If you're doing it with friends, mobile games with friends, like whatever, like that's ridiculous. Stop doing that too. You know, your friends should get on a computer or just not game in the first place. And so, okay, if the context is not, you know, alone in your home, you should not be playing mobile games because you should be using a computer. But besides that, if you're like on the go, you know, if you're out and about doing something, why should you be playing a mobile game at all? This is like, just don't. And that's kind of my answer to any other context other than being alone in your, you know, in your living quarters, is to just not play that. Because like, let's say you're on a subway and you want to kill 10 minutes, so you open up Candy Crush. That is also that's a bum activity. You know, of course, if this is 2012, you're gay. But that's not a good usage of your time. I think a better usage of your time would be to just allow yourself to be bored for the fucking 10 minutes that you're on the subway. It is not going to kill you. You will be fine. I'm sure your intrusive thoughts will not cause you to jump in front of the next one. So just be alone with your thoughts for 10 fucking minutes without pulling out Clash of Clans to sedate yourself from reality. And because that's really how I see mobile game like applied a lot. And I'm using the example of the subway only because I've seen that like 100 times, right? I'm on the subway, and since I obviously don't go on my phone on the subway, I am just kind of sitting, looking, people watching, observing. You know, people watching is kind of its own tangent, but I'm not going to go on that tangent. But yeah, just kind of people watching and just looking around at the variety of human faces, sometimes marveling at human ingenuity that they're able to have conducted such a system and that it works. You know, it's a miracle that, you know, you know, as Rick would say, it's a miracle I managed to blow anything up. But it's a miracle that we've come to such a level where we're on a fucking subway. This thing is a huge hunk of steel flying across another hunk of steel. You know, it's like, I don't know, it's just an impressive feat. So I'm marveling at all kinds of different things. And I'm, you know, having thoughts related to bring back gay, whatever. I'm not saying that's like a, you know, a healthy thing, but at least I'm living with my brain, right? Whereas I think mobile gaming or being on your phone is just not living with yourself, right? You're just kind of, I'm not even sure what you're sedating yourself, right? It's like you can't suffer alone with your own brain. It's like, what is wrong with you? Isn't that, you know, don't you have a larger problem? So I guess not only am I critiquing the experience of mobile gaming, which I could care less whether or not it's a good experience. Like, either use the computer, and it'll be better, or at least less like distracted, right? It's a more focused experience if you're on a computer, because like while I'm playing this game on my computer, there's not anything else I'm doing. My phone is my phone is across away from me, so I'm not getting notifications. I can't, it's not possible for me to get a notification while I'm playing this game. So it's not possible for me to be distracted. Whereas phone is kind of, the whole point of it is for it to bark at you anytime it wants your attention. And then, we kind of say, yes, daddy, please. And then we look at the phone. So even like the fact that the distraction portion of gaming, I think is completely ruined on that. And plus, like, if it's a social thing, like, I guess you're playing Clash of Clans or something, that seems like a social thing you can exclude yourself from, right? I feel like it just doesn't need to be a required part of any kind of social group that you're playing a mobile game, right? Just be like, dude, I don't play games on my phone. I'm not 10 years old. So I don't know. I think, like I said, if this was 2012 and the Wii was still in its heyday, I would say mobile gaming is gay. But now I can't say that. So mobile gaming is a bum activity, and you should stop doing it. The second thing in this category that maybe is a little, maybe I'll actually put on the controversial of my framing of this. Maybe the opinion itself is accepted, but more gentrified, I suppose. Is e-cigarette usage, or vaping is more, it's more commonly called. Now I'm gonna discern it from smoking, like a cigar or a cigarette. I put in a little bit different category, and partially for a really dumb reason is because it kind of looks badass, a cigar, or even like smoking with an accent. If you have any kind of European or even really any non-American Western or non like Midwest accent, and you're smoking, it's kind of badass, right? You could be arguing with somebody. Plus, it kind of it gives you that raspy voice after, I don't know, however many years of usage and abusage. It gives you that like kind of badass like voice. You know what I mean? So I'll kind of put smoking actual like tar products in different categories, because it has an element of badassery to it. Vaping, however, just doesn't. You just look like a 16-year-old in a bathroom at high school, And again, like I said, if this were 2012, I would say, wow, vaping is gay. There's even that commercial where it's like they were trying to like dissuade teens and stuff from vaping, and like vaping is gay because they were like reaching into each other's pants, like these two dudes, but then they pulled out like an e-cigarette or something. I don't know. It was a really stupid commercial. You can look it up. I'm not making it up. It actually exists. But either way, vaping and mobile gaming are both pretty gay. So if you're doing that, stop. There's not really an excuse. And obviously there's like the whole nicotine addiction part of it, which I am totally ignoring for the sake of this video, but I'm not ignoring for the sake of like some kind of discussion, right? Sure, I understand that people have addictions and there's problems, but I think nicotine as a substance is a very, maybe this is controversial, a very overcomable addiction, given that it's not like a heroin dependency, right? Where like your body can shut down from a lack of the drug. Nicotine is, and sure, well, it's probably difficult, and I don't have first-hand experience from withdrawals, but it's a very overcomable addiction as addictions go, regardless of who you are. I don't care if you have I have an addictive personality, I can't do anything. Any of those people that claim I have X and Y personality, so I can't do X, Y, Z. It's like these are just limitations you're putting on yourself. And I realize I sound like a fucking some self-help guru when I speak like that, but it seriously is like you're not so different physiologically that you're unable to overcome a simple nicotine addiction. So, as Michael Jordan put best, just stop, get some help. So seriously. Anyway, yeah, that's my ridiculous way of starting this video is bring back gay. And if you play mobile games on your phone or an iPad or whatever, my opinion on iPads, or you vape, you're gay. In the most 2012 gay way possible, not like homosexual. I don't care what your sexual orientation is. You can have sex with whoever you want. It doesn't bother me. I'm not gay, so I won't be having sex with men, but you can do whatever as you please. It should be whether your country is free or not. That's irrelevant. It should be a free country where you can have sex with whoever you want. I really don't care. Anyway, yeah, those are my first two rather ridiculous opinions to start off with. So let me get a drink here. Here's something else I would like to. I have obviously got a lot of stuff to cover, and just had a sip of caffeine after a nap. So it's about as wired as you're going to get. You know, if you want to put things in perspective, a nap and then some caffeine can get things going. Anyway, my next opinion piece thing, I guess you can call it. These things are all kind of opinion pieces, but if you truly love something like a solitary activity, I'll say, then you should keep it to yourself. And this isn't really breaking news. I'm not crushing any barriers with that kind of revelation. But there's a very good reason that I don't let other people like play on this world. I don't let other people because this is something in solidarity that I enjoy. And even in some ways, I'm not running around like in real life telling people that, oh, I love playing Minecraft alone. Come play with me. No, I don't want anybody playing with me in this world. I actually don't even like playing Minecraft with other people. I kind of like just playing alone. And not because other people ruin it entirely, and that's not totally true in the sense that other people ruin it for me. It's just, in general, if you like something and it's a solidarity activity, I think you should keep it to yourself, because you only really risk losing your love of it by sharing with other people. And now where I saw this in action is not me playing Minecraft. As your average Linux user does. Just kidding. I was in the gym, and I saw because I go to the same gym a lot. Or I go to the same gym every time I go to the gym. But I go there a lot, and I saw this dude he's in there all the time. He's a big guy. You can tell the guy goes to the gym. He's not one of those people that's like, oh, I couldn't tell you work out. No, you can tell the guy works out. He's not like a Sarm goblin or anything. He's just a larger man who goes to the gym, right? He's kind of a meathead looking guy, and he has the whole strut and thing and whatever. And yeah. Anyway, so he's in there, and I know he's in there a lot, and he's with like these two girls, and he's like showing them how to use equipment and stuff. He's obviously like going on this like, I'm not saying like a threesome date. I mean, maybe that's what it was. I don't know, but either way, you could tell he was sharing, like, these girls obviously had never spent any time in the gym. I'm not saying I looked at them physically, like the way that they were laughing and messing around with the equipment painted a picture that it would not surprise me if this is their first time in a gym. Oh my God, what crazy. Anyway, but you could tell he was kind of sharing. He's in there a lot. He was sharing this part of him with these people, and I don't know. You could tell by look at his face that he was kind of just being polite as they were, not misusing gym equipment, but improperly using gym equipment. They weren't fucking on. I'm saying that they were they were laughing and unsure of how to use a cable machine, stuff like that. But you could tell it was just kind of like a bit of his soul is dying, and I'm kind of watching this unfold. And that's when I had this opinion, was that if you really like something, like this guy likes the gym, I can tell. He goes to the gym, he's in there a lot, I see him, and he's now sharing this with people that obviously kind of don't think it's a joke, but they're it's a bit out of the ordinary and silly for them to be messing around with the cable machine. So I kind of was like thinking to myself and like telepathically telling the guy, like, it's a mistake bringing him here, bro. Like, you should have just kept this to yourself. And now you're kind of, especially if suppose, you go on a date to the gym with somebody who doesn't go to the gym, and then you can kind of create a negative causal relationship in your brain by, associating it with somebody else that maybe leaves your life at some point, and then you're left with kind of a dead hobby that you once loved. And so I don't know. I guess my advice is if you truly love something, you should keep it to yourself. So that's part of the reason why I don't let anyone else play on this world. It's my world. I don't want it's my world. It's my world. I don't want anybody else not ruining it, but just I want this is my thing. So I'd rather just leave everything else to other people, and even to a larger extent, like Minecraft as a whole is kind of my thing, and it's not something I'm interested in sharing with everybody, and making sure everyone else's ruins my thing of mine, because I have my own relationship with the game, and I don't want to, I don't know, I suppose poison it with potential of other people not taking things as, or not even taking it serious, but not treating it with the same respect I do. You know, the same way with the girls in the gym kind of messing around. And no shame to anybody in that scenario. I don't care. Like, it's good that you're in the gym, I suppose. But I suppose for the guy, I just kind of felt bad that he was, you could just see his soul was dying a little bit as these girls were laughing and joking around with the equipment and yada, 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 and like making gestures and stuff. So, I mean, it was very flirtatious. I'm sure they were all having fun, but, you know, this is not what you want to do. So if you really love something and it's a solitary activity, you know, keep it to yourself. And that doesn't include alcohol or anything. So don't, I love drinking by myself. No, some things are meant to be social, but video games doesn't have to be one of them. And the gym certainly doesn't have to be one of them. There are, you know, if it's possible to keep things that are healthy and solid and, you know, individual, keep them, you know, siphon them off really from other people's, you know, ability to ruin it, I suppose, to put it cynically. But anyway, yeah, so in terms of other stuff that you should not be doing, well, I guess it's certainly in that, not really, it's in that vein, but it's not exactly other thing you shouldn't be doing. But I'm thinking about ways people spend their time. And there was a point in time where I went through like this, I basically made an Excel spreadsheet, or a LibreOffice, writer, no, LibreOffice, whatever the LibreOffice equivalent of Excel is. And I tried to think about, like, okay, in my ideal world, like, if money and there's no object, there's no influence, everything is off the table. What do I want to spend my day doing? And I kind of went, you know, I started with 24 hours, and it's okay, sleeping is, like I said, 7.5 or 8. So your perfect day, you'd sleep for 7.5 hours. And then, you know, I had these different categories where it's like, okay, eating, hygiene, socialization. You know, I didn't put stuff as general as like relaxing, because what the fuck does that mean? Like, does that mean I'm just on my phone doing God knows what? I can't even do anything on my phone anymore. It's not even it's literally just like a pager pretty much. At this point, there's no apps, or it's in black and white. There's no apps on it, but which I'm proud of. I think their phone should pretty much act like a pager. It should be. But anyway, but I tried to kind of itemize what I would ideally see my time doing. And most of it was like, I had like 5 hours dedicated to like creative pursuits and a few hours dedicated to just helping people, which basically meant probably doing some techie weird thing for somebody else and helping them, or even just like teaching somebody something, which, you know, I, again, kind of saw it as a useful but sacrificial allotment of my time for someone else, which is fine. But anyway, I did all that, and I didn't really come to any major conclusions other than this is an interesting Excel sheet to stow away for a rainy day. But something I did think about was the ways people spend their times now. And obviously I'm kind of side-eye looking at phone usage and just like general like app usage. And I'm thinking about what people do on their devices. And the way I kind of thought about this was, if it's not, you know, short-term hedonism, meaning if it's not like immediately pleasurable, which I guess in many ways is probably a vice regardless. Like if you're consistently engaging in what I would call short-term hedonism, meaning just like immediate gratification, then it's probably a bad thing. Or even differently, framed it as long-term hedonism and some kind of, this is going to maximize my pleasure in the long run, which is very difficult to frame and I guess isolate, because that, you know, education in some ways is long-term hedonism because you're making an investment into yourself. But I guess I don't really count that as that. I just mean it's more or less like, you know, booking yourself a vacation in 6 months, where at the time it'll be just pretty much immediate gratification, but doesn't really require any immediate work. Regardless, if the activity is not what I would call short-term or long-term hedonism, why the fuck are you doing it? Really, it's truly, like, by definition, is a waste of time, right? If it's not something that you'll immediately enjoy now, or that you'll immediately enjoy later, or is not a personal development activity, it's rather it's a waste. So there's a few, I have a few specific boogeymen in mind here, with mostly around just dumb apps people use. Mobile games, obviously one of them, but even like dating apps. Dating apps are not, I don't even, people would say, oh, it's like a longer term, I'm trying to invest in somebody in my future, or they kind of frame it as, oh, it's a long-term hedonism thing. Or some of them aren't even coy about it, and they're just like, yeah, it just feels nice to get likes and stuff on Tinder. But I just want to ensure that anybody that uses those is well aware that they are not designed to get you, not even say get you a date, but even to do what they're supposed to do, right? You would think the point of a dating app is to like maximize the number of dates that you create on the as the app, you know. But that could not be further from what the actual sorry, the stupid thing, from the actual function of these apps. And coming from someone who has formerly worked at a dating app company, it is the point of the app is to get you to spend as much time on there as possible. So regardless of whether or not it's, oh, I'm just kind of, you know, playing the lottery, and if in case I get lucky and find somebody, it's not designed to, not only is it not designed to get you a date, which is probably what you think you're going to be on there for, but it's not designed for you to get off. It's quite the opposite. It's designed for you to spend as much time on there as possible, because that's how they make money. And as far as I'm concerned, as far as I'm aware, there's no non-profit dating app company, which actually might even be a pretty good idea. You know, like they legitimately just try and set people up. There's no, you know, business interest involved, which I don't know, if you have the willpower to set up a non-profit dating company and truly make things about getting dates, then dating apps as they exist now are pointless and are a waste of time. In the same category as kind of mobile gaming, almost, you know, the same way I think a lot of modern politics is, you know, analogous to sports teams, or it's, oh, my team should win. Oh, your team sucks. My team should win. That's kind of how I view politics a little bit. Dating apps are kind of like mobile games, right? The whole point is just to kind of see, ooh, you know, I'll unlock this character, or I want to see this person wants to go on a date with me. You know, there's not a way of framing this where I'm going to believe that it's like either a self-development activity, or if it's even a long-term hedonism play, as I framed earlier. It really is truly a waste of time. So I reject those two. So, and I'm not sure if it's a problem with me or a problem with, I don't know, society, I suppose, to put on the Joker mask for a second. But I'm finding myself rejecting more and more of what are to be considered normal things. Like, no one's going to turn up their nose at dating apps, except for me. I will, and I am. Because I think they are dumb and evil and not in your best interest. And I'm not doing it out of some way to, oh, I feel superior. I'm doing it, I think nobody should use it. I don't care, even if you're a Chad and are going to get a bunch of likes on there, it's still a waste of your fucking time, right? I have friends who, of course, I have to live through them because I don't have any first-hand experience on it, but they have like 200 matches or something, which is just a ridiculous number to think about in its actual function. Like, 200 dates, that like, I'm trying to think what it would take for somebody to have achieved that in, like, we'll say like 1940 or something like that. I'm not, obviously not, comparing generations isn't really fair, but in some ways we're kind of challenging the way that humans have met at the very basic level for our entire existence. It's all been person to person contact. Never before have we ever like met our sexual partners digitally. Which I think certainly is going to be answered by a trendy dating app company in terms of how we're redefining how human relationships are. For the entirety of our biological existence, we've always met our sexual partners in person. Whether or not we even spoke the same language, or there was even anything beyond just like pretty much monkeys doing it at some point. Regardless, we've never not met face-to-face, looking, body language, all of that. And now we're just kind of, you know, abandoning it, you know, for some shiny new stupid app that has a membership fee. And it that alone is kind of sets off the alarm bells, so to speak, in terms of whether or not this thing is a net good. So unless there comes out some, I'm not gonna say nonprofit, because even a nonprofit dating app company, they have the problem they're solving is human relationships, which I struggle to believe that logic will win that. Because love inherently, as something, if I can get a bit more meta with this discussion, love is not a logical thing. Ask parents who've been together forever. It's not like logically they're always like, oh, my logically I should, forgive you. Logically, I should love. It's like it's so spontaneous and illogical that making it algorithmic is is a sin, really. And I mean that in a non-religious sense, but it's problematic to say the least. And it's certainly, if we're not even attempting to map, what I'll say more are spontaneous facets of human relationships and love. It's all purely algorithmic, right? Depending on the algorithms themselves for dating apps aren't. I mean, they're sophisticated in the sense that they're mathematically sophisticated, but they're not. I'll say socially sophisticated, right? They're not taking into consideration the psychological nuances of a person, or even the humanity of a person. They're really, what they have to do, because it's a math equation, is they really have to boil down a profile based off of whether it's swipe statistics or usage statistics, or even just some amount of drop-down menus or something. Boil them down to some number or score or ranking or preference algorithm, and then just running the numbers. Really, it's an accountant. It's a human, an accountant of humanity. And I don't buy that that's not even, like I say, an accurate representation of any human, much less me, of course, because I'm very unique. I'm saying that tongue in cheek, but it's reductive, and is and again, to use the word, it's sinful, or it's gay. If it's 2012, it's gay. It's pretty gay. I said it here first. Dating apps are gay. Not Grindr, but Grindr's kind of an interesting thing, because I think it's not even. I'm not sure. It might still be coy by the fact that you're trying to meet lovers on there, but it's almost just like it's the Fortnite lobby for for booty calls, which is interesting. And if you're using it in that sense, then I would implore somebody to reflect on whether or not that's useful for the time. Because if you're using it kind of like the way Grindr's used, where it's pretty much just, oh, where are we dropping, boys? What up? I'm trying to get something, whatever. Is that really what you want to be doing with yourself? Is it ask yourself, is this healthy, right? Commodifying and, hedonizing, if that's not a word, I just made it up, but hedonizing human relationships and sexual contact into hang on, take a drink. Into something that is so immediate, and at some point it can't be gratifying anymore. I mean, really, I ask like sex addicts whether or not it's like, it's as magical the 4,000th time, if it is, whatever. I'm not saying it has to be some magical fucking, lilies and white robes or whatever that it is in these stupid rom-coms, but I'm trying to think a little bit less like a fucking robot here when it comes to human relationships. And surely these for-profit apps don't have it figured out. They have not boiled down human relationships into swipe statistics, for the love of God. Because ultimately you have to, the individual, we can't even map, like, there's so many parts about our humanity and our brains even that we can't model that. We're not, like, much less the interactions of two pretty much infinitely complex things. We have to interact that and then predict which one. What a ridiculous fucking concept. And yeah, machine learning can make like these fake judgments on different things, but they ultimately have to be incredibly reductive. And as a human, you should reject being reduced to numbers. And you don't want to be a statistic, in I guess the worst form of the word. In many ways we are, but we aren't statistics. We are used as statistics. And in many ways as you can, you should not actively try to be used as a statistic. Now, obviously, people are going to use you as a statistic, but you should try to avoid that as much as possible. You don't want to be a statistic. And just because you happen to be in many ways doesn't mean that you should embrace that, right? Oh, I love being just a number. There's plenty of numbers you don't want to be, right? The number of people homicide, the number of people that have committed suicide. Like, you don't want to be these numbers, but, ultimately some of us end up becoming them, but we should not strive to be numbers. So, I guess undigify yourself and don't be a bot. Why would you want yourself to be a bot? So, I don't know. Unplug from the hive mind. All right. So So I suppose speaking about the future of humanity and its many nuances, I'm trying to think of a humanity post growth, which is an interesting idea because biologically we are very much wired for growth. We Evolution is based off of the fact that the forthcoming generations are improved in some way than the prior, right? And I think very much, even socially, economically, personally, growth is always a noble goal. No one's ever going to turn their nose up, of course, until about 5 seconds from now when I do it, at growth. But what about a a humanity that is beyond that? Not even a society that is beyond that. Because think about the perfect society. Let's dream about utopia for a second. A utopia would not have economic growth, correct? Utopia would not have, better sales numbers than last year, right? Maybe a utopia for an individual. I'm talking about a large scale utopia would not have any growth. And no, I don't mean communist in the sense where whatever, but even sense it's not growth. It is that is utopian. It is what I would argue as almost broke that, is balance, is utopia, right? That's what utopia is. If we've achieved this perfect balance, this harmonious relationship with, the environment, I suppose, if you're going to put your green hat on, the environment, other people, with money, even just commodities as a whole, human exchange and time and freedom, autonomy, liberty, even in computers, right? As a general computing, as a broad category, we've achieved balance with that, not everlasting growth. I think that's what maybe the effective accelerationists and even the effective altruists who stem from that movement, really anyone in this kind of accelerationist camp, whether or not it's a neoliberal or whatever, however they want to call themselves, or even if they're not calling themselves that, if they fit into that bucket, but they kind of maybe don't understand or don't agree that the ideal for humanity, collectively is balance, is a harmonious balance of everything. And I think in some ways it's not maybe helpful to think in terms of these. I'm thinking it is helpful to think sometimes in terms of these utopians, but I think the reason it's helpful is not because we should be immediately embracing everything that would be balanced with nature and with others and with economic growth and whatnot, but it just kind of helps frame the other half of what should we be doing as a society. What the fuck are we doing? And especially if we kind of think about, and we agree that maybe that the goal is balance and not growth at the end of it all. Not, obviously, there's a lot of growth that needs to happen, improvement, healthcare, education. Rattle them off, okay? Keep going. Talk all day at length about what needs to be improved. I get that. When we've done it all, right? When everybody has this perfect education, these opportunities, and then part of the argument is, well, we'll never be there. Well, in order to believe, so then what do you just try to make it better? Is it just marginally better? At some point, suppose that marginally better becomes marginally worse, right? And we've achieved this, no matter what we do, it's going to be 50-50. It's going to be yin yang. We can't go better. We cannot be. It's like, imagine that it's not possible to be better, regardless of whether or not it's even true. So once you're in that mindset and you can think about a humanity post-growth, then you kind of have to ask, what will we be doing? Or what does that look like from a practical standpoint? What do you do that is not, that is anti-growth? Because I think we're so used to, and obviously I'm putting myself in this camp, so it's not like I'm absolving myself from any of this. But we're so used to growth being everything. Everything's growth. Personal growth, money growth, family growth, the kids growing, the age is growing. And since time is linear, and time kind of, I suppose, grows in terms of its number in millis or whatever, however you want to frame it, then we kind of are very conditioned to think in a forward way, which is not bad. I'm not saying that we should stop doing all of it, but I think it's interesting to hypothetically reflect and imagine the end of growth and the arrival at balance, right? There's somebody interesting that talked about the purpose of, I don't know fucking who this was, or when it was a while ago when I read it, but they talked about the point of things is not It's not the journey, it is the destination. And at some point, as if we can accept that for a second, for just at face value, what is the destination? The destination is not infinite growth, because that's not possible, mathematically even, or any sense. I mean, in some ways it is, but then you're kind of banking on a lot there. You're banking that we don't nuke ourselves before we reach other planets, which I'm not sure. Even then, we could just nuke the other planets, right, at some point. We have to end up achieving balance. Pure, perfect balance. With everything. With each other, with ourselves, with nature. So imagine a world where you're at perfect balance with yourself. With humanity is at perfect balance with the environment. Where economically and socially we're in perfect balance. And maybe that means that it's communist and everybody owns the same amount of things and everyone... but I don't think it has to mean that. There can still be inequity with balance. I mean, look at anything that's balanced, like even just balanced, like literally balanced, like rocks that are balanced. Sometimes there's kind of imbalances within that. It's not neatly stacked. It's not cubes stacked on top of one another. It's, lopsided objects kind of offset. And then they end up creating a balanced structure. So maybe that's metaphorical for the way balance is achieved with humanity, right? Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. I don't know. I'm just thinking it's interesting. I'll say interesting. It's useful. It's pragmatic to think about a balanced humanity post-growth. And so I don't know. What does that mean to do? I don't know. As I say a lot, I don't fucking know. All right, I'm just here trying to think about something to come to an interesting conclusion, and sometimes the candle burns out. So yeah, I suppose maybe you can come to some interesting conclusion about that, but I certainly think, especially with like even self-development, which I might be unbalanced in the sense that I am always trying to better myself in some way, but at what point am I good enough? I'm good enough now, like for myself or whatever, for the world. I don't give a, however you want to frame it. But it still doesn't ever stop me from striving or achieving, trying to go to the next extra mile. And what I always say is, this is really just about anything, is like you're doing great, but you can always do better. And maybe I said this in a super old buckets manner, but that's kind of the way I think about any kind of progress. You're doing great, but you can always do better, which that's not really balance. So I can't really use that as an axiom of perfect balance, because that's not it. Because at some point, it's not you can do better. It's, you're doing great. That's it. It's over. You're done. You finished. And we don't ever think like that. It's bad. People shame people that think, we're done. You're never done. It's always more development. But I think like software, for example, like they could just stop making Minecraft. And then not stop making it. They could just stop updating it, stop adding stuff to it. I mean, and it could be done. It doesn't have to be, but it could be done. Hang on a sec. It could be, sorry, I had to take a drink of my beverage. It could be a finished product. It's over. We're done adding stuff. We're done. We don't need to add any more mobs or any other. No, we're done. It's over. We're finished. And some people that are like absolutists that play on like, 1.7.3 beta or something. I mean, kudos to them, but they're kind of embracing that. We're done. We're done with it. Software is perfect to us. The game is finished. There's no more work to be done. No more Jira tickets. It's over. We're done. And I think that could be applied more broadly than it is. Because especially in software, it's never done. There's always more features and features and features. Some things don't fucking need features. My weather app does not need a speedometer, or doesn't need my birthday. Why does the weather need to wish me happy birthday? Like, the weather app should not be wishing me happy birthday no matter what. And obviously that's like kind of a crude and stupid example, but there's literally apps that do the equivalent of that. They wish you happy fucking birthday with like, Photos app or something. I don't give a fuck if it's my birthday. You don't need to know that. Don't add that. It's a waste of time for the person to add. It just doesn't need to exist. Keep it simple. So I don't know. It's something I think in some ways we need to look towards completion. We need to be finished. Is it done? We're done with the product. We're not adding it. We're done. We're not adding the birthday feature or the middle name to your who cares? We're done. So I don't know. I think in some ways the beta 1.7.3 Minecraft cave game enthusiasts, they're kind of right. you know, the game is finished, and they believed it was finished a while ago, but the game could be finished now. They could just stop adding stuff, and I would still play it. I'd still play it as much as I do now. I would still. It's not like I would be, oh no, they're not adding new features. Sometimes the novelty just needs to, it ends, and it should end, and we should be okay with it being done. And as programmers, it maybe is kind of calling myself a programmer, even though I'm just an idiot. I think I don't consider myself anything really. But it's maybe good just to be done with stuff. Like there are little scripting projects I've done and just little other things where there's no more improvement. It's over. I'm done improving it. So I'm done. I'm finished with it. And it's like, oh, it's not perfect. It is perfect. It's perfect and it's done. I'm not doing any more on it. No more work is required. Because it's just kind of exhausting, psychologically to always be in the next Jira ticket. It's like there's never, especially if the thing does what it's supposed to do well enough to not need that anymore. We don't need more. Minecraft doesn't have to have more mobs and more features and more this and that. And obviously some people are always going to push for more and more and more, but realize that these people will always exist. And there will always be someone else saying that there needs to be this mob, there needs to be this in Minecraft. We need, I don't know, sexually diverse characters in Minecraft. We don't have to have anything. We could be done with it. We could just finish development of the game and it could be finished. And it's not up to the people developing, it's up to the users to accept that it's finished. So, if the camera app takes pictures and does it well, it doesn't need to have another, it doesn't need more. I think that's part of the problem is that we're so, maybe that's why I think it's useful to think in terms of, kind of the end of improvement, the end of growth, the end of progress, is because we're in love with it. We just love growth in every we need more RAM, more, like, no, at some point it's fine. It does exactly, it's fine. It's good enough forever. It's permanent. We shouldn't need more. Even in a rainy day, we could just be fine with this, right? The game is finished. They're not still pushing out updates to Pokemon Emerald, but that game fucking slaps, and I'll play it again. So it's like, we could be done with it. So maybe that's why I think it is helpful to think about post-growth, is because I think more things should end. And they should be finished. We should start projects to finish them, not start projects to, eventually have them be abandoned, yada, yada, yada. And another interesting quote around this is that this is more about art than like any kind of practical projects, but especially for practical projects, we should terminate development on some of these. We should reach a conclusion and it should end. Development should end, and it shouldn't be, oh, this is abandoned, no one's working on it. It should just be good, right? Beyond like security patches or whatever, we should no more new features. We're done with we're done with it. But they say like art is never finished, it's merely abandoned, which is kind of true, but I think it also kind of speaks to a larger, if we look at even just digital products and things as works of art, because every business views their product as some masterpiece of art. The dating app, oh, it's such a wonderful piece of technology. It's a piece of shit. But even so, it's still in some ways a piece of art, and in some ways it needs to be finished. That should never just be, something should just never be made, which dating apps I think should be one of them. But regardless, there should be things that are finished. They're done, kaput, it's over. So I don't know. I think we should start projects to finish them. So if you are working on a project for yourself or something, maybe see an end on this, right? What does the end look like? Is it like does this need to be added? Is this necessary? What if they've never had this? Not that what if it has only one day? No, not one day. What if it never has this ever? Right? What if Minecraft never has the new, glowing camel, or whatever the fuck they're going to add to this game next? Fine. I'm still going to play the game. I'm not going to be mad if they didn't add a glowing camel. I don't give a fuck, all right? I'm good. The game is fine. It could end right now. We could be done with the game. And I could still play it for eons. So, I don't know. It's just kind of my opinion on things. I think it's, especially if we look at, this is more about, I don't know, projects and arts and stuff like that. But if you, even thinking about the end of progress, like economically or, consumption-wise. Consumption, I think, is a notorious bad example of what happens when there's no growth. Because there's always more money to buy more shit. I don't need any more shit. I want less stuff, actually. So can we just be done? I'm done buying dumb shit. I think my litmus test for buying stuff now is will I use this in 10 years? Will I want this in 10 years? Will it last 10 years? And most of the time, it's no to all three of those. I have a whole other diatribe on planned obsolescence, but regardless, especially if it's not, it should be resounding yes to like all three of those. But things aren't made for 10 years now, and there's things that I won't want in 10 years, and there's things that I don't need in 10 years, and I won't ever want ever. Honestly, the ones that get answers no the most on those three questions is, will it last 10 years? Most things last like a fucking week. 10 weeks is even a stretch for some things. So, but why buy? Why keep buying all this crap? It's not going to stick around. It's all, it never ends. The cycle, the treadmill of all of it is, it's exhausting. And I'm not saying that, I'm not, obviously not perfect. There's still, well, if this world is perfect, be done with the world. The world's kind of its own kind of exercise in futility, but regardless, I think things should end. Some things should end. And at some point, if you have the right thinking, humanity's progress in terms of growing, it should end. We should achieve some kind of balance with everything. Now, I don't know what that looks like. It's obviously not racially based, so there's not one perfect. No, there's none of that. There's some kind of balance at the end of it, where we're done doing all of it. We're done adding and improving stuff, right? And we can start removing. No, I'm just kidding. We'll just end the whole growth stuff. So anyway, I'm gonna wrap it up for there. I went on some weird tangents today, but hopefully you found it enjoyable or interesting. But anyway, yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Peace out.